Okay, welcome to the fish room. As you walk in, this is what you see. Some of the lights are already off, but you see the first, pardon my finger there, first 3 10-gallon tanks. And the top, we have some Apistos. This is a spawn. It's about 2 years old now. And I forget what species these are. I can never remember. They're the red tail. They're kind of rare. I'll look that up and post it in the video when I edit it. But several of them are trying to breed right now. As you can see, they're bright yellow. And then the dominant male's in the coconut shell there. So they've got something going on. Right below that is Kian's. You probably saw this on one of the reboot videos, but this is Kian's Maui Sunset Guppies. And then there's a couple of Green Dragon Plecos in there. And the bottom tank, at least right now, is my, well, it was for this batch of fish that I bought. This was the quarantine tank, but they've been in there now for 6 months as I'm preparing to move some of them out to their final homes. And then I'll reset this tank, but that's what this is supposed to be, is a really quarantine tank. Anybody with multi-tank syndrome knows that your quarantine tanks get overtaken to be permanent housing for your fish as your addiction grows. And then I've got some kind of expansion, I guess we'd call it, over here. You can see I've got 240 breeders down low on that one rack, and then a 20 long on top. Right in front of me, the light's kind of going out there, but you've seen that. This is the I did a tank reboot on it. This is the Black Tiger Baddest tank. That light's kind of dimming out. It's a ONF nano light on there. I love that light. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find them in black. I don't know if they stopped making them or not. I can just find the silver and the rose colored. And then right here, back up a little bit, that bucket, there's actually a sump pump in there. And as you can see, the pipes come out right there where I've got that little catch basin. But this rack that I'll show the front of in a minute is actually all plumbed. Half of it's plumbed for one of the drains, and then the other half is plumbed for the other to kind of separate it. But eventually I'll hook that in so that it drains into this sump tank right here, and then pumps it back up through the ceiling, because right behind me is the laundry room, and there's a laundry sink back there. So that'd be perfect for that. Just haven't got around to doing that. Over there you can see a round tank. That's a future project. I got the hardscape in there. I just need to hook everything up and figure out what light I want. That light that I have on there doesn't really fit underneath that desk hutch. Down here we have some of my cultures. And then this is another quarantine tank that I set up because I had too many fish that I ordered. In here I've got a pair of rainbow fish, Melitania kiunga, if I'm pronouncing that right. I got from Dan's Fish. I got like 4 different species. And then Daphnia culture, and then vinegar eel. And this up here was supposed to be, these were supposed to be saltwater tanks. And this one is saltwater, this 60-gallon. And then I got a 5-gallon salt. And then this 120 over here ended up being, even though I had did the hardscape intending it to be a saltwater tank, it's freshwater. And it's got an algae issue I've been battling right now, so that's the reason I've got that hang on the back filter up there and trying to combat that. It's always something. So there's those, and then over here on this rack that's kind of below here, well, I'll start up here. Sorry for swinging you guys around. So here's the back of the other rack, and then right here is the Black Tiger Baddest tank, and then you might recognize these two tanks. These are the kids did that Aquascape contest a year ago. This one's Kian's and this one's Michael's, and I just did an update on this here not too long ago, but I hadn't cleaned up Michael's tank, so now that you can see that with it's cleaned up. Looks like there's some glare too. Let me kind of get around and see if I can get rid of it. There we go. So they're looking pretty good. The fish are very happy. And then this is a 17-gallon cube, I think. And I did a water change, and then it just algae bloomed on me. So I don't know. I also, at the same time I cleaned off, it was totally covered in duckweed. So I think I kind of threw the balance off when I did that. Both the water change and clearing off the duckweed. So battling that'll clear out here pretty quick. Over here we have the tank up top there is, and you're probably not going to see them in there, but that's the Okefenokee swamp dwarf sunfish, and there's probably 20 of them in there. They just hide. And I've got my brine shrimp hatchery set up there, and then underneath the, I don't know if I can get any wider than this. No, let me back up. So underneath here, so underneath the Kids Aquascape, the cube and stuff, this is a 90-gallon, and it's got a lot of current set up in it. Right now it's got some Hillstream loaches in there, and that's about it, snails. So I'll be adding, if I can find them again, I'd like to add some panda loaches in there, or some other kind of companion for them. Maybe some of the rainbow fish that I have would look good in this tank. So over here is that rack I was pointed out when I first came down the stairs and pointed in here. So the bottom is a 40 breeder, mostly just for growing plants, and then I have some Melitania Bosemani Atinjo, if I'm saying that right. Got 3 of them, but I think I ended up with 3 males, so I got to find some females for them. There's a couple algae eaters, and then some tiger otocinclids, and some pandagars in here as well. So everybody's really happy with all the plant life in there. Right above that, this is another 40 breeder. And so I've got, these guys just went crazy in here. Let's see, back up a little bit so you can kind of see the whole thing. All right, maybe that's good right there. So this is Julie Chromis. I'm drawing a blank now. Julie Chromis Gombe is the collection point. And then I also have a small colony of Neolamprolungus similis in here. And they're kind of battling the Julie Chromis for space so that they can breed. I'm probably going to need to separate them, put them in their own tank, just because I want them to breed more. And I think the Julie Chromis are predating on them. So they've tried. They've successfully reared. You can see some younger ones in there. There's like 3 or 4 younger ones. So they did survive, some of them, but I'm sure I would have had a lot more had they not been overrun by the Julie Chromis. All right, and then right above that, sorry for the glare, just have a lot of lights on. This is a 20 long sitting up here. And I've got Melitania kamaka rainbow fish. I'll be moving these guys out at some point to their own tank. I want to breed them. And then I also have a pair of Apistogramma agassizi fire cichlids there. And see what else is in here. I think there's a couple of Amano shrimp and stuff in here too. Got a little bit of hair algae. Trying to keep that down to a dull roar. Over there, my pump that actually feeds all these tanks over on this side is sitting up there. I designed and 3D printed the holder for it. It's an AP300 Whisper pump, and I designed and 3D printed that holder. There's quite a few things that I've designed and 3D printed around here for fish, so maybe one of these days I'll actually sell some of them, but right now I'm just kind of designing stuff for my own use. All right, so that's this wing. Michael was mad at me for filming some of this without him, so we'll have him kind of talk about some of the tanks later. All right, come back over here, and so I'll back up and kind of go back to where the entrance is, so you kind of can tell where we're at. So this is where we started from, so we're going to go over here. Some of the lights are already out, so I'll have to turn those on. But immediately to the left here, a door over there goes out to the mother-in-law apartment that I made. It was a one-car garage, and built a mother-in-law apartment out there. So I get a lot of traffic through here now since that's been done, which is unfortunate, but oh well. All right, so this rack has 3 20 longs. I guess we'll start off at the bottom. This is a quarantine tank. I quarantine my plants as well as my fish, or at least I try to. And so I've got some rainbow fish, some lake inlay red tail loaches, and some lake inlay danios in this one, as well as a few male inlers in there. And I'd have to look and see which rainbows these are, but as you can see, they're getting up there and starting to really color up. So I'll be having to get them into their own tank so I can breed them as well. But yeah, they're pretty. And that guy's got some kind of issue. That Daniel's getting picked on. He's got a dark spot. I'll have to pull him out. Looks like he's getting picked on too. All right, so this middle 20 long is one of my favorite Apistos. And I don't know, when they get a little bit older, my wife thinks that they have frog face, but these are Apistogramma. These are Panduros, blue Panduros, blue sky Panduros, I think is the full name. And these guys are all from one spawn a few years ago. They all grew up together in a 20 long. They're doing fine. They've even had other babies in here, and they seem to be very well behaved, so pretty happy with that. I've got a second sponge filter in there just for emergencies, or if I need to throw it in there somewhere. Seems like every tank's an experiment. So the top 20 long, I have some of the inlers that I've pulled out that are on the white side. We're trying to breed some white flame tail type inlers, and had some success, so we're trying. You know, it does take quite a few tanks to do this kind of thing. And oh, I just realized the fan's on background. That's probably not helping with the background noise. Then in here also I have like 6 duplicate cories. And they're doing really well in here. They've spawned a few times for me, and I wasn't quick enough to get the eggs, and they were gone like within hours. So the light's already turned out over here, so I'll show you this one a little bit later. This is a aquascape tank. I was going to enter into the Aquarium Gardeners Association aquascape contest, but I couldn't find the plants that I wanted in the time frame that I needed. I don't know, probably with all this stuff going on and the shipping issues and stuff, they were always sold out of the plants I wanted to put in here, so it took me longer to do that. And then by the time I set it up, and it's going through its cycle, and then it went green on me. So anyway, it didn't get entered into that contest, and maybe I'll try again later or something. Below it's just a little 5.5 gallon. It's got I think a random guppy. I think it was the remainder of a tuxedo guppy or something that I lost the female on, and then a little inler. And then there's some baby. They're getting a little bit bigger. You can see them, and there's some apistogrammas growing up in here. They're the rednecky or redneck apistos. I had like 4 or 5 of them in a 20 long, and they got some kind of disease that I could not get it to stop. And right before the female ended up dying, the last pair, she actually spawned, and I yanked them out as soon as I saw them, and they were just teensy tiny, like pinhead size. And I pulled 10 of them out, and I think 9 of them survived. There's 9 of them in here growing up. So they did all die, the parents, with that disease I couldn't control, but the babies are doing fine. So hopefully I saved that strain, because that was the only ones of those types that I had, and I really haven't seen them come up for sale on the wet spot or anywhere else. So yeah, I didn't want to lose them, so that was good. That was a close call. All right, let's swing over here. Oh, there's my dehumidifier. Every fish room's got to have one of those. So I guess you've seen this one. I think I've got a video on it. This is the 40 breeder. I did a water change, and it went green on me. So it's clearing up a little bit, but it takes time. I don't do anything drastic to try and clear it. I find that does more damage than just, doing regular water changes, adjusting your light period, and just letting it go its course. But here's the front of that rack. Let me kind of back it up here a little bit, maybe, so you can see more of it. The 40 breeder's kind of blocking that bottom rack, but let me turn off this fan while we're right over here close. All right, so I've got 6 10 gallons on the top, and then we got 6 20-gallon talls on the second row, and the bottom row I've got 2 40 breeders. Now the bottom 2 40 breeders are too low to the ground to do the overflow type setup, so they're not on the overflow setup that I showed you a minute ago. So I have to do the old-fashioned water change on that. And I've got a mess up there. I'm redoing the air system with 1-inch PVC, kind of going all over the place. I'm kind of plumbing it with the idea that I'll probably end up going with a linear piston air pump at some point back in the laundry room, and then plumb it over here. So seems like I've always got something going. So we'll start with the top. Maybe we'll go over here to the left. So I've got my strain, or my line, I guess, of yellow tiger inlers, and I've been line breeding them for the kind of a flame-shaped tail and you can see some of them flaring there. Doing pretty well. Right here I have my colony, quite a few teenage babies in here growing up too, up hiding amongst the plants though, but these are Apistogramma Bella Union is what they call them. So you can kind of see the male if he didn't freak out. Kind of blue with the yellow, really pretty. I don't know if you can see them. I need to thin the guppy grass in here, but I've got 5 Melitania picta. Also, this is one of the group that I picked up from Dan's Fish. So they're in there. You can kind of see them hiding out down there at the bottom. They're starting to get colored up. I caught them the other day. They were actually all flared up, all spawning and stuff, and spawning color. So I'm hopeful. All right, so down one to the 20 gallons. So in this tank, I have got, I don't know if they're out. Oh, there he is over there kind of hiding. There's the male. These are drawing a blank again. You know your fish until you start trying to tell somebody else on a video, and then it goes out the window. But these I think are Nanochromis, and I forget the type that they are, but there's a pair of them in there. I'm trying to get them to spawn. Next door is a 20-gallon high here that is kind of a mixture of a little bit of everything. So I've got right up front there, you can see them. So I've got some of the daisy blue rice fish. Got a couple of the golden white clouds. I think there's a pair in there. And then I've got some gold ring danios and some fire ring danios in here, as well as an extra female to that Nanochromis that's next door, just in case. Seems like I lose females after they spawn. All right, so right here we have this tank, and besides the apple snails, the mystery snails in here, these are and I'll probably butcher the name, but Chelanthria alani from Wapoga, and they've been breeding like crazy in here, and they don't seem to eat their young. You can see all the different generations of babies swimming around in there. There's 4 adults in there, and all the rest of them are babies since they've got here. They seem to like how this one's kind of wild tank, but it gives them enough. You can see up top, it gives them quite a bit to hide into when they're babies. All right, down low. Sorry for the dirty glass. Ugh. Seems like these bottom tanks don't get as much attention, but for what's in here, they kind of like that. These are my super red plecos, and then I have some Corydoras similis that are breeding like crazy in here. In fact, you can kind of see them right there, the little ones. And then I think they're the males in that Apisto cave over there. I think he's got a female trapped in there, or garden eggs or something. But cute little guys. And it is dirty glass. Wow. All right. So we'll jump over here to the top racks of the 10 gallon rack over here. So over here we have the, I think it's the Melitania Robert Axelrodi. Yeah, Axelrodi. The yellow rainbow. They're breeding in there. I got some spawning mops in there. Because they were definitely breeding the other day. So I'm going to get some of them eggs collected to hatch them. In this tank we have a bunch of juvenile Indian rice fish. So these came in from the ponds. These were teensy tiny from the ponds. So they're growing up in here. They're doing well. There's a bunch of them in there. This tank unfortunately just had an outbreak of some sort of fungus. I get some weird stuff sometimes. I don't know if it's the well water, but I do 50-50 well water and RODI water. Typically is what I do. Anyway, this thing, I lost a lot of my bronze cories in here. I had a really nice breeding group. They would breed and give me, you know, 7,500 easy eggs, and they'd all very high hatch rate, and I thought it was a pretty bulletproof cory, but man, that whatever that fungus was came in, and none of the meds I've got, like I'll have to show you my med rack over there. It's ridiculous. Didn't touch it, you know. Of course, I try and rely on meds second, and I try and do, you know, water changes and maybe some salt or whatever to try and deal with it initially. But yeah, it just, nothing was stopping it. So I lost most of them. I think there's 2 or 3 in there still hiding in the back. All right, so down here we have another, these are wild type Endlers, and I've been just line breeding them. Looks like I have a pollutant in there. I've been line breeding them for long tails, kind of the long double spiked tail. There's a couple of them in there that are, but they take so much work. It looks like I kind of got a little lazy because I see a couple of pollutants in there I need to pull. Next door here is a very dirty tank. I mean, it's clean but dirty, I guess. Looks like that one male has some kind of lesion on its side. Must have. Have to check that out. Anyway, these are my dwarf rainbow, the Praycocks, and there's probably 8 of them in there. They breed quite profusely, and I've probably got 100 or so babies that are in a grow out 20-gallon that's underneath that island 40-gallon that's the lights are off. I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, they seem to like it like that. It's, I mean, I do water changes and stuff, but it's got all kinds of algae, and I don't know. There's also some flag fin corridors back there. There are like 6 of them. So there's that tank. And next door, man, there's some glare on this too. I don't think I'm going to be able to get, maybe. So in here I have some green grass, I think they're green grass guppies, some show type guppies, and then I also have some baby dwarf rainbows in here. You can see those swimming around. And then I also have 3 red lizard catfish in here, and then the one big fat female cory right there. Sorry about that, I reached my maximum recording time, so it stopped. Anyway, there's a one lone large female cory in there. You can kind of see her. Maybe not with the reflection. I think there you go. And that's a salt and pepper Cory. The male, I lost him a little bit ago. So there's just her. All right, here's the other 40 breeder down here. And in here are all my mutt guppies. Well, not all of them, about a third of my, maybe third or a half of my mutt guppies from the ponds that I brought in. And so this tank is all them. All right, we'll kind of spin around here. So this is a 20 gallon. And this is, I don't know, you probably saw the video. This is Michael's aquascape that he did. This is his second aquascape. And we put in a bunch of our, this is our red Endler population that we dropped in here. And he's got some Hesbrosis, I think. Cory's, 5 of them down there. I saw them breeding the other day. So that's hopeful. And the light's starting to dim, but this is a 20 long with a matin filter. And these are rainbow fish. These are a little bit different rainbow fish. Notice they're kind of torpedo shaped. These are, and I forget, I have to look up the full name, but I can just call them rads. And I think they're Siri Creek or something like that. But they're kind of blue bodied, kind of a silvery blue body with a red tail. They're very camera shy, but there you go. So I bought these from a hobbyist that breeds them in Seattle area. Bentley Pasco hooked me up with him. So this was a fish on my want list. I obviously got to clean this tank out. That algae came in here. I think I messed with it's a Fluval 2.0, planted 2.0, and I messed with the settings, and I think I adjusted it a little bit too much because, man, probably the blue spectrum or something, but that algae just started taking over. My dwarf chain down there in the substrate is just getting overrun. It was doing really good. Anyway, just so much work, so many tanks. It seems like I bounce around between each of them and try and keep them up, but working a full-time job and then just coming and dealing with this is a lot sometimes. Michael and Kian can't help with some of the more technical stuff, but Michael tries. Kian, every great once in a while I'll get him and he'll want to be involved, but anyway, so there's that tank. I think with all of them, I think we have 57 tanks. And Michael counted the different species of fish. And I think we've gotten more since then, but I think he counted 64, 65 different species of fish. I don't know if you can see them in there, but the Petricola catfish are breeding. Look at that fat female, she's full of eggs. And I built a PVC breeder tube in there. That reflection's really bad. But hopefully I'll be able to get some eggs out of them and breed them. I think there's 5 of them in there. I think I have 3 females and 2 males, I think, is kind of the ratio. But we'll turn on some of these lights and show you these fish as well as the 40 breeder here, and then the 20 gallon that's below there. That's where all the dwarf rainbow are growing out. It was supposed to be a breeding tank set up for the dwarf catfish, those Petricola dwarf catfish over here, but I ended up putting these dwarf rainbows in there for grow out. So, well, that's at least half of the tanks, or 2/3 of the tanks. And Michael wanted to come back and do some video of a couple of his favorite tanks, and he wanted to talk about. So I'm not going in detail on them, just in case he wants to to do it, and then I'll come back and cover maybe some of these in a little bit more detail after we're done with this initial filming. It's kind of late right now on a Sunday night.